This video will be concerning the case in Delphi. It will include information I'm stating up front is probably not factual and therefore is not true. Truth is derived from facts, and by definition, it should not be taken with a grain of salt. It should be assumed to be wrong. A game of telephone video, hemming and hawing, autocorrecting and rationalizing away the entropy about another video doing exactly the same thing. That's what this video is about. And in that video, it's someone claiming that a Facebook description exists of what was on the Bridge Guy video. The Bridge Guy video is an extracted, missequenced set of frames, and the guys and Down the Hill audio files are also maybe even data recovered and audio enhanced or altered heavily, all from supposedly one AV file, data file recovered from an Apple 6 2S flash RAM. Me saying that whole sequence there, how convoluted it sounds, has more useful information in it than I'm able to find in most videos. A YouTuber, as of today, got 7,000 views since 2021, February 15th. In a video he uploaded, where at the 43-minute and 43-second mark, he said a description of the above data file. How this was acquired will be discussed in this video, but importantly, why it was hard to get this information while this individual was doing it. The video I'm referring to that goes on for over an hour is of him having a Google Meetup with people talking in the chat box. He's responding to him and it's interrupting his train of thought, and it's make it hard for him to do things. Next, throughout the video, this individual prefaces things and seems to be somewhat embattled and kind of tired of all of this, or maybe just a long day is when this video is at the end of. Next, this individual seems to bluster and boast a bit, and I'm not presuming that any of this should be negative. I'm going to discuss this. The part of that video, or the frames is what we get, where you see a little gray part that comes across the screen of the picture, which in the past I've assumed may be an object, but it probably isn't, or it could be clothing. I'm going to get to the claims that are made by this person uploading the video. Now, I'm saying this person's making the claims because the buck stops with whoever is making the assertion more than once and is defending it. I'm being mean at this point just for the sake of creating a foothold on this tower going uphill towards our source, not to critique the person. What is seen isn't just a gray thing on the screen or an aberration. It's part of a shirt worn by someone he's identifying as Abby. Now, the rest of this is assertions that are out there and are based on leaked or hard-to-find information. In the video, if you could see the rest of it, you would see Abby. And then you see Abby looking up at Libby. And then one of them says, "He's right behind me." And then another beat later, quote-unquote, she hurries to the other end and doesn't describe what the other end of what. Then this uploader, we're going to call the person uploader for right now, then says, the girls are discussing which way to go, something about 2 ways. Then Abby says, is that a gun he's got? And then the uploader says, plus there's a click sound. And then, presumably Bridge Guy says down the hill, but there's no mention of guys, even though that's presumably clearer because we get a clearer version of it, even in the early days. And then a gun noise or gunshot or something like that may or may not happen. The reason I'm leaving that vague is, obviously the uploader wasn't there. So this had to come from somewhere. And this is a person who's at this point in 2021 stating, this is the umpteenth time that I've gone over this, and it's out there, so I feel comfortable discussing it, and that's why I'm doing this. And this is said to have been Abby's mother, Anna, who saw the whole video, or saw what there was of it. Who also said it's hard to hear, which means Abby's mother, Anna, the supposed origin story source, may be making mistakes. We've all heard the audio recording, the raw version originally, if you're into this case, and you know that it's hard to interpret any of the damn thing. In fact, impossible, depending on how bad the interpretation is, or how bad the sound, or how bad the speakers are. Abby's mother, Anna, is also claimed to have said she thinks the phone ran out of storage space and that's why it cut off, and that's why the noise was heard. Next. Then the uploader says, but they had to tell the mother that it was not a gun sound, or so said somebody else. A her is being designated now as having received this from the mother of the slain child. And then this went through somebody else, a him. This is how it's referred to by the uploader. And then from the him, this was told to the uploader. So we have the uploader making a claim. Uploader says that him said that she said that the mother said that she heard a hard-to-listen-to audio and video recording from the phone that may or may not have been data recovered and broken in the first place with all that data. Okay, next. How did these people meet? They, all of them except the mother, presumably, all three, the him, the her, and the uploader, were in a 4-person secret invite-only Facebook group made a long time ago to store stuff. That's the direct quote. Also said is that the uploader said that he skipped past the him and then talked directly to the her, and that's how they were all in the Facebook group. Now, the part where it says it's secret and or invite-only, I forget which one, is a part where this chat room discussion thing, some music plays back and interrupts what he says. So YouTube's built-in closed captioning and transcript generator broke at that point. So I had to listen to hear it. So I could be making a mistake. Also, the AI utility from YouTube and Google will make mistakes. So I had to go through and check that. Both of us could be making a mistake and I get the wrong idea here. That's another layer of entropy. Next, the uploader said, again, all of these things, and then said, at one time, the uploader, the him or the her, had misstated the above repeating of an original source, so the uploader and both of them corrected this over time. Now there are multiple versions of it, and there are text versions of it that were shared on this Facebook page that's unlisted and not able to be seen except by them and presumably one other unnamed individual. And this may be a misstatement, accidentally or deliberate, by the uploader. You can presume anything you want to because we're not eliminating any of these variables at this point at all. And the text version has not been posted, quote, or a full version has not been posted out of respect for the families for some reason, or the cops because they wouldn't like it. Okay. Next, the boasting and or prefacing and or defensive statements made by the uploader. I've had the whole time since May 2017. That's how I was able to make my video the way I was able to make it. Next, a lot of you wackos are going to say it's because it helps my story out, but that's not true. Now I'm going to read. This is me reading the transcript pieces that were not jumbled and taking out the parts where the person said and hemming and hawing. Facebook group that has all this stuff in it from way back. It's weird going through that again because there's stuff there I've actually forgotten about that are, really interesting stuff. One of them is actually a description of what was on the video, made by one of the people who saw the video to somebody else, and then they told me, so it's a second-person account. It's not second person. But, the person who told me was first person. And they wrote it and typed it in. So I've had it way before all these other people put it out there. The reason I didn't put it out is because I didn't want to put it out for the respect of the family, and law enforcement wasn't wanting stuff like that out there. So I always think it's weird when people get so excited about that some schmuck decided to go and put it out there. And then pauses, seemingly like he's realizing he's kind of putting himself in that bucket. There's only 4 people in the group. It's just one that we made a long time ago to store stuff. It's not an invite group. It's a secret Facebook group. That last part is covered up with audio because an audio file plays back, because it's a chat. Gray Hughes Investigates is not being critiqued for being bad or good, wrong or right, making a mistake or not. This is what happens during just that level of interference while he's trying to do a video. That's one of many subjects. It's not the main thrust of it. And it's a perfect example of watching the man almost fall apart, trying to keep up with what he's discussing. And in case you aren't noticing it in this video, I'm doing the same damn thing, and I don't have anybody distracting me. How do we make this impossible? How do we make failure impossible, or as impossible as possible? The original text version should be posted verbatim without edits if possible, or with the least amount. Only if you're willing to say this has no errors in it, and or it's been corrected, or you post all the different iterations with all the errors, warts and all, with the edits, and informing us when this information was available. Apparently it was after or around May of 2013 or something? 17, excuse me? So here we go. Do I believe that any of this narrative is valid? No. This person has admitted this is a game of telephone. The source information, the mother of one of the people who was killed, has also said things that are considered also canon that contradict this. Also, the part about guys is left out, and a bunch of other simple errors. Now, the immediate response. You're criticizing me, you're calling me a liar, blah, blah, blah. That could be for any YouTube channel, including mine. No. This happens, and this keeps coming up because there's no definitive, set-in-stone version. Well, there can't be because, and then a bunch of reasons. No, there aren't. On this Facebook collection, what was your first message? This is the message I got on this date. It's through 2 people, a game of telephone. Here's the version I was given as the full corrected version. Here's the one where we found out new information, so it must mean that we had this wrong. This is the final version we have, and then at the end of it, Gray Hughes intensifies. Must intensify. You must state, this is a game of telephone. It's self-correction, auto-rationalization, whatever wording you want, entropy. It is presumed that we've made mistakes. We're acknowledging it. And we're also acknowledging that since we don't have a direct source like the video itself or the person who saw it, we have to assume that we've all made mistakes here, and that it should not be considered canon. This is what we do when we do Marvel movies. So let's do it for reality. Next, am I criticizing this person and calling them a shitbag or something? No. Now here's the bad part of the video. Gray Hughes investigates. If he or anybody else decides, no, you're criticizing, you're just blah, blah. If somebody doth protest too much, that's an indication. If someone refuses to put out a text version that they can't change later, maybe it's because they want to be able to change the narrative over time. That's the worst case scenario. That's not treating Gray Hughes investigates appropriately at all. But it's also possible. It's also the standard on the internet. So, to be blunt, do I believe there was a gun involved? No, because there's no indication of any other sources that have anything to do with it. None of the relatives have actually indicated this, that anybody can point to me. I've asked for it repeatedly, and this is the first time anybody's given me this information. And this is from, apparently, a person who claims to be the source, because the other 2 are still anonymous. And then we have Leaker doing similar things, but they don't agree. Again, the police department didn't put out the raw data. We can't confirm anything, and it's their fault. But since we can't confirm it, say you can't confirm it, say this is probably wrong, and head off everybody at the pass instead of having to defend yourself so many times, apparently. Next. Yes, this is what will happen if we don't go out of our way to provide just facts and not even comment. We need the facts and data first, and when we don't have it, do our best to give us a copy, even if it's redacted partially, so we have something to work with. Or we read into it, and we make mistakes. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. This concludes this critique of how bad this went, not the person who it went to, or went against.